The community is everything. When I started off, I always say it, talking to Mr. Bland, I had a lot of things that I wanted to do. Community, just talking about that, community was one thing. I spoke about how I wanted to make sure we be positive advocates in the community, share our time, community service. I wanted to be just a positive face in the community. My goal was to bring that positivity back, and I'm always trying to base things like on my college look, and we'll talk about community still, but you had this narrative of get out of Linden. You gotta get out of Linden. Let's just talk about sports or basketball or sport or school. You gotta get out of Linden. There's nothing positive happening. So my goal was to show that it is something positive happening. And like they say in college, build a fence around Ohio State to say, we building a fence around Ohio so none of the good guys, the top guys will leave. My thing was build a fence around Linden McKinley's.
Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Brown, author of the book, Uncommon Athletes, Filled with Passion, Fueled by Purpose. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel so I can continue to bring these broadcasts and hit that like button as well. But I'm blessed today to have with me the head boys basketball coach at Columbus Linden McKinley High School. And we know Linden McKinley has a reputation for being a great athletic program. But what Coach has done, he's kind of flipped that now. It's not just they're back on top athletically, but they're also where they're building up to where they should be academically as well. And that means preparing young men, not just to be great basketball players, but successful student athletes as well. So, Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. As always, I always say anything that, anytime I do anything like this, anything that shines a positive light on the basketball program and the Linden community as a whole.
Yeah, you took a faith walk in taking the Linden coaching job. What led you to that?
I probably never told this story out as far as like an interview or public. The boys know that I never told anybody how I really came into it. We talk about took a faith walk, and we never know what God's plan is. Ending that fourth year at Mifflin, and you transition into end of the school year around April time. That particular year, my mother unexpectedly passed away. Just it was really she just unexpectedly passed away. I never forget. I was at Hamilton in gym class when I got the call, and it was a traumatic situation. And so, just out of it. That was April, just out of it. Obviously April, May, whatever, June, just out of it, almost sometimes feels like maybe I'm still out of it. But anyway, what happened was, talk about a faith walk and you never know what God has planned for you. In the process of being out of it, I would pick my son up. My son was in middle school, and his bus stop was at Linden McKinley. And Mr. Towns will come over and pop into Hamilton, pick up a couple of his kids. He would see me sometimes. Sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. This particular day, it was right at the end of school year, end of May-ish time or whatever. This particular day, he says, you know how he talks. You need to go over there. You need to go over there to Linden. Their coaching job is over and their coach isn't there anymore. I didn't have a clue. Wasn't following it, wasn't nothing. I'm just out of it. I park the car, I go in, buzz in. I didn't really know what Mr. Bland looked like. I knew Mr. Bland was the principal. Go in, go straight to the office. I figured that's the best place to find a principal. I figured I was just going to shake his hand and ask about the position and say, figure out if I was going to try to actually apply and all that. And so what happened was when I walk in, Mr. Towns is there talking to Mr. Bland. I'm like, how did he get from Hamilton to here? And I didn't see Mr. Towns is in there talking to Mr. Bland about something, not about me, just generally talking about something. And I walk in and Mr. Towns kind of smiling, and Mr. Bland look, and I just, reach my hand out and shake his hand and say, Mr. Darthard, I teach over at Hamilton, I coach at Mifflin. I heard you have a position open and would like to know, is there still opportunity for applications and to apply? Ms. Bland looked at me, said, yep, shook my hand, and I went on from there, and that's how I applied. That's how it initially happened. And then from there, I was lucky enough for Mr. Bland to accept me into the position.
Wow, that's an amazing story. It shows how God works, you know, how God's timing is everything. One man plants, LB planted the seed, another one waters, and God gets the increase. And that's what we're looking at now, you know, the increase.
Truly how it was.
The increase. You mentioned you're a teacher at a Hamilton STEM Academy. How does that help you build relationship with future players?
That's everything, because we know that even from teaching to coaching, pastoring, you know, relationships is the core of everything. It's not about, you know, how many years you went to school, how many degrees you got, your accolades, how much you have of anything. Really, to me, to the core, when you talk about dealing with and interacting with other humans, relationships is everything. So, you know, teachers is the backbone of the community. Schools is the backbone of the community. Rec centers is the backbone of the community. And a lot of times, even my son, you're with your teacher, you're in your school more than home. And it's like, I've seen you grow up since, you know, first grade. Now you're able to have deep-rooted relationships to where off the court, if I have to push a button to try to change or derail or try to get a player, or let's not a player's off the court, a kid to go a different way, I'm able to. They know it's coming from a place of love. On the court, if I have to push a button in order to derail or change and go another way, the right way, I can, because they know it's coming from a place of love. Yeah,
it's a blessing you being a community man. And I think a lot of times we talk about the influence that a coach has on his team, but you have an influence in that whole school building. You know, not only do you know the guys on the basketball team, but you know a whole lot of those kids. You know,
brothers, sisters,
you know, families. That's truly a blessing. So let's talk about the importance of the Linden community role in supporting the team and helping you build what you built. I know that there's some churches involved. I know New Salem does a great job over in that area. Light Point, FCA. Can you talk about the role of the community in helping support the team and how important that is?
The community is everything. When I started off, I always say it, you know, talking to Mr. Bland, I had a lot of things that I wanted to do. Community, just talking about that, community was one thing. I spoke about how I wanted to be, make sure we'd be positive advocates in the community, share our time, community service. I wanted to be just a positive face in the community. My goal was to bring that positivity back, and I'm always trying to base things like on my college look, and we'll talk about community still, but you know, you had this narrative of get out of Linden. You gotta get out of Linden. Let's just talk about sports or basketball or sport or school. You gotta get out of Linden. There's nothing positive happening. So my goal was to show that it is something positive happening. And like they say in college, build a fence around Ohio State to say, we building a fence around Ohio so none of the, you know, the good guys, the top guys will leave. My thing was build a fence around Linden McKinley's. Now, even though they were down a little bit, what if, just what if, we play on a level playing field and now our cream of the crop guys and our just Linden kids that we can develop are not leaving. We want to be successful on the court, but we want to be successful off the court.
Speaking of that success, how have you built this winning culture? I know one of your themes is restore the glory. How have you built this winning culture?
Restore order. Yeah.
I'm sorry, restore the order. How have you built it? How have you built the winning culture at Linden?
You know, I think every coach, as they should feel confident in what they do and really believe in what they can do to change a program. And I just say I really believed in the community. I'm from the community. Obviously, I work and basically I don't live in the communities, but as much as I'm there, I live in the community. And I just have faith and believed what Linden was and is. And like I said, I wanted to make sure when you speak Linden, you speak greatness. And so culture, responsibility, looking yourself in the mirror, taking ownership of everything that encompasses in your life. There's no other way to put it, just hard work. We're just going to work both on and off the court. It's just going to work and work and work. And some will be on board and some won't. But the proof is in the pudding. If you work, you can't, there's no substitute for just work. Just work hard, both on and off the court. You built that culture and more starting to say, no, this is what we're all going to do. Now, it's not a coach's coach team. It's a player coach team. And whether it's by verbally or just showing what they do, you can't have your best player. My best player, LB, gets up every day with his family and runs, 5 miles at 5 a.m. But then also he's at every single workout. But then also you can chew him out and he's sitting there and like, yes, sir, no, at the end of everything, yes, sir, no, sir. Best player on the team. LA then said, well, I want to do 5:30 a.m. workouts. I had never done it before a couple years ago. Let's do 5:30 a.m. workouts before school even start. Best player on the team. So now you got everybody looking. So what can the next player say next to them? I don't even got to say much at that point. This is what they're doing. This is what they are doing, what they are demanding. You ain't going to hop on board. You're going, the train is going. You're going to get left or what? So, like I said, and then that culture breeds a player coach team. And then what you have is just naturally more and more of the players just saying, nah, this is what we do. This is our standard.
That's powerful.
For sure.
So what are the life skills you're trying to build into players on your team? What are some of those life skills?
I would say first, making sure you first and foremost are a man of character. Mm-hmm. I tell them, even me personally, I always tell them, if you look at me, I first worded as a coach. If you're with a trainer, with a coach, with your AAU coach, anybody, and they tell you, this is the one said thing, act as if, this is the only way it can be done. This is how it's done. I'm perfect. Run from them. Run from them. Nobody's perfect. Mm-hmm. Me, if you look at me as a coach, as a teacher, and you remotely think, oh, Coach Darthard, man, he's perfect. He does everything right. And whatever he says is right. And he must, live a perfect life. No, it's just not the case. Everybody is flawed. You're going to have, in this saying, I say, you're going to have your up days. You're going to have your down days. Don't get too high when things are going good. Don't take breaks. Oh, I'm good. I can take breaks and look how fabulous I am. When you're down and out, don't get too low and, I'm the worst person in the world and this and nothing can go anywhere. Stay somewhere in the middle. Have faith in something. Know that, yes, things can always maybe be a little better. Things can always be maybe a little worse. But the thing is, take responsibility and ownership in everything that you do. You know what I mean? Be a person of character through the good times and the bad times. You see what I'm saying? I can't have a 30-point game and come back and say, Coach, I'm not practicing the next week. I just scored 30 points in the game. I ain't practicing. I'm good enough. You know what I mean? I can't get too down on myself. I have a drought and I'm not same thing. And I'm not performing well. I can't get too down on myself and nothing's working and this and that. No, you stay consistent. That is consistency, and consistency is everything. It's the main thing I go over every day. You know what I mean? Just be consistent, be a person of character, you know what I mean? And just always work. You just got to always keep trying to push yourself, work to improve both on and off the court.
Right. So just got to keep working, Well, Coach, this has been a great conversation. Lastly, I want to talk. I want to give you an opportunity to share with young people about hope. We see a lot of gun violence going on in our community, particularly among young Black young men. And I want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about hope. So I want to set up this way. There's a big rally that's happening in the city. We've gathered all these young men between say 13 and 21 years old together. And there's hundreds of young men there. And you're the keynote speaker. You know, you get to end it. You get to end this big rally. So I want to set up that way. You know, you're at this big gathering, and I want to introduce you as our final speaker of the day, and then I'm going to turn you loose from there. We've been excited. We've been encouraged all day long. And lastly, we want to close this on a positive note. So young men, we have with you Coach Darthard, the coach of the Linden McKinley Panthers boys basketball team, who's going to give us that final word. So let's welcome Coach as he comes to the stage.
Thank you. I would have to just start off with it goes to my brain of me talking to these young men that I talk to every day and addressing the young men on the team and knowing the environment and the circumstances they come from, circumstances and the environment that I come from. Hope is a extremely powerful word, because without hope, you have nothing. Without hope, you have nothing, but there's always hope. And so I will say the main thing with the gun violence, with even the, you have the Kia boys and the car violence and things going on in the neighborhood. We truly are a product of our environment. We can't, I'd be a fool and I'd be lying to everyone and say you're not. We are a product of our circumstances. Many of us are not born with privilege. Many of us are born into struggle. Many of us, what I say and what the phrase is, are born behind the 8 ball. That's just facts. But hope, circumstance. Just because you're born into a circumstance doesn't mean you stay there, period. There's always opportunity to learn, and we all will make mistakes. But 2 things I give you. First definition is insanity. You do the same thing over and over and expect a different outcome. That's insanity. I don't believe any of our kids are crazy or insane or not smart. So you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. At some point, you have to change. And the last thing I say, and I said it this year a whole lot, I say it every year, it's a marathon, it's never a race, it's never a sprint. Life is a marathon. The game is a marathon. We can't have our first official practice to November. The marathon starts now. Actually, the marathon started 2 months ago when we started getting back in the gym. So when you see that district championship last year, and when you see the players joyful and crying and holding up each other, that was a accumulation of a whole marathon. When you talk about, the gun violence and the violence that's going on in the neighborhood, it's a marathon. Change is not going to happen over a day. Change is not going to happen over a week, over a month, over a year. But if we use our words as grown men and activists in the community, speaking to these young men and young women, we use our words, but we also use our action and use our resources to truly, help these kids on a daily basis. They will get out their circumstance. They will see they can't keep making these same choices over and over. They will slowly, maybe slowly, you will slowly see pockets of change. That's what you will do. And you'll see individuals, and you'll see, little teenage leaders, little individuals speaking of change, acting in change. And then what do you know, like I said earlier, and they're leaders in the neighborhood. They're the true leaders, right? And then next thing you know, other ones will start coming on. Well, no, wait a minute. If they're saying that, their own peer, their own youth, the other ones will say, well, no, I want to be on board with this. And so I think just over time, keep working, keep preaching the same thing, keep doing the right thing, really being sincere, really pouring love into these kids. Once again, we have to pour love verbally, but we have to pour love through action as well, offering different resources, jobs, just an abundance of opportunities for these kids to see something positive. And I think they will then understand that although we are a product of our circumstances, we don't have to be that at all.
Those are some powerful words, Coach. I want to commend you for being not just being a man of action, not just a talker, but a man of action. You know, and I want to commend you for that, for being on the front line. You know, being on the front line and being that example to those guys, because whatever they're going through, you lived it. You were right there with them, and now they can see what the end product looks like, so to speak. But they can just hang on, like you said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. They can just keep that hope, and just keep that hope. And so I want to thank you for all you're doing in the community, and I want to continue to pray for your continued success. You know, as the Panthers continue to do what they do, and we know winning changes. We know winning changes everything.
That's real. You're right about that, Coach. You already know.
Everything. So I want to pray that you guys keep on winning. Keep on winning.
We're going to try.
All right.
You know, we're going to try. But I do want to say, I thank you. You know, people, you know, we're here interviewing, you're interviewing me. That's fine and dandy. But I know, and of course, you know, the time and effort you spend in that community and other communities like it. I know how much I've seen you at Hamilton STEM during, you know, the father, the breakfast for fathers, all the different activities and things you do in the community through action to try to provide a positive atmosphere and not just through words. I know that, obviously, you know, others that know that, but you're interviewing me and I'm sitting there thinking, man, you know, it's a blessing to have you, you know, just, I guess, say, recognize me if you want to call it that. But I know all that you have done, and even when when us as a program even need anything, I've hit you up before, and you say, "I got you. Let me work. I got you. You don't got to worry about it. Take care of it." So just behind the scenes, the things that you do is amazing. You know, just something that I strive to be. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that.
All right. Thanks for those words, Coach. All right. Be blessed. Have a great rest of the summer, and go Panthers.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk soon.